Hello, let's catch up on the indie releases from March and April of 2026. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Chris and today's video is going to be a recap of the indie releases that we had in March and April of this year. My life has been hectic and I apologise, I have dropped the ball on doing these lists, but they are back and I'm going to combine March and April, and then next week I will do May's. Now, these lists do not come from me as always. These are found off Rob J. Hayes' website, who put the list out for both March and April in one, and also AJ Calvin over on her blog. And most recently, and I'm getting new releases that I haven't discovered before from, I think, RJ Lavender over on Instagram. I'll have her profile link down below as well, because there are quite a lot in there that I haven't come across prior. If I have missed any on these lists, please let me know, and I'll pop them down in the description box down below. We do have a lot to get through today, so I'm just going to jump in. Now, because of the volume that I have, I'm not going to read full synopses like I would normally. I'll just give like a sentence or two and then a comment on the covers, but all the covers will be up here to take a look at. And yeah, let's start with March and then we'll carry on over to April. So March 1st looks like it was quite busy. The first release that we had was called Stone and Flesh by Tamara S. Harker. This is an awesome cover. I love I think it's an apple or like a plum that has like a skull in it, and that's really cool. This is epic fantasy and dark fantasy. It says the War of the Six and the Plague of the Bitter Hand, unleashed at its peak, has left the kingdoms of Lakar in tatters. Already good first line. Yeah, this is a beautiful cover. I'm intrigued. I want to know what that person is wearing. It looks like it's some sort of armor to stop like swords from taking off your hand. Unsure. Someone can let me know who is more well versed in armory. But that is the first one off the bat for March the 1st. Then we have Vision of Alliance. This is by Joyce Reynolds Ward, and this is the Goddess's Vision, book number 1, and it is fantasy. It says, what happens after the big bad emperor gets deposed? That's a really good question, and I'm sure one that a lot of people are thinking about other big bad political entities in the world right now. What happens after that happens? But this one looks like this, and it is also readily available for you to get right now. Then we move on to the Wraith Returns by Paul G. Zareth. I apologise about the pronunciation there. And this is horror, fantasy, and science fiction with the sub-genre of grimdark. This is Revenge of the Wraith Paladin, book number 1. Alien vampires trapped in a time warp find themselves being hunted by an immortal assassin of their own creation. Wow. That is one hell of a promising first sentence, and it seems like there's a lot happening in that book. Aliens, assassins, what more could you really want? Then on the 3rd of March, we had The Dreamwalker. This is by Aletha Lyons. This is the 3rd book in this series, which I would love to tell you the name of. Is it the book 3 of The Seer of York, which is directly on the cover, and I could just have seen it on there. These are beautiful covers as well. It just says Harper and the gang are back. I love that for Harper and the gang. And this is a series that I've been meaning to get to for some time. Then we jump to the 4th of March with Jaya, the complete series by Geetha Krishnan. And this is low fantasy, epic fantasy, mythology, and retellings. And it looks like this beautiful black and gold cover here. When even the ties of blood become shackles, the only way to break free may cost everything. That sounds quite ominous. Then on the 6th of March, we'll go back one. Then on the 5th of March, we have Flower and Forge by Herman Stewart-Nagel. This is Tales from the Pint and Portal, and I think these are all standalones, but they're sort of like within a multiverse. It is the multiverse of the, I think it's The Greatest Bartender in the World was the one that I really liked. There's a weary warrior, a restless baker, a magical side quest neither of them asked for, but both might need. And there is a dog. Well, it's a wolf, but it's basically a good pumpers on the cover, which you know for me is going to be a sell. I have bought this one. I'm looking forward to getting to it at some point in the future. On March the 6th, we have Jungle Planet by Mike Molman, another author I really need to read. This is Proxima Station, book number 2, and this is humorous science fiction. And I don't know that I would be laughing at the mouth of this thing that is like looking at us from the cover. It looks a bit deadly, and then the first line of the blurb says a deadly world awaits. So I'm gonna have to take your word for it that it's humorous. I'm sure there's humorous content in there. On the 7th of March, we have, sorry, I did it again. On the 6th of March, we have A Shattered Peace. This is by Gabriel Tassone. This is Chains of Solitude, book number 1. This is epic fantasy, sword and sorcery, and dark fantasy. This has got quite an intriguing cover here. I really like the color scheme that we have and the art style. And then we've got the intrigue of this necklace in the hand, which is kind of cool. The kingdom is sleeping, the monsters are not. Immediately my brain wanted to read more of that, because that is a really punchy first line. On the 7th of March, we had Ravens of Eternity, Volume 4 by Serratus Orbis. And this says it is political space opera. In the 4th volume of Ravens of Eternity, Eva and Miko are joined by Amal and Claire to further flesh out the conspiracy of Ravens, their mercenary company. Okay. We love a bit of a mercenary company there. On the 8th of March, just making sure I've got those dates correct, we have Time Becomes Relevant by ckery, and I apologize if I butchered that pronunciation. This is epic and literary fantasy, and it is Shazwick of Land, book number 1. Born with a coveted magic, Magnolia goes into hiding after her mother's violent abduction. That's the first line. That's all I've got there. This looks like it. I don't know. That cover is really just giving me like this could be brutal to read. I'm not sure if that is the vibe that the author was going for, but like I feel like it's going to be devastating. Ooh, I don't know. On the 9th of March, we have Ember and Steel. This is Brethio Chronicles by Donna Morgan. This is book number 1 in the series, and it's epic and dark fantasy. Beautiful cover. Really love the almost sort of like creamy beige of the background, making the fire and shadow pop so much here. It says, the gods are gone, magic is lost, vengeance is nigh. Again, another banger of like a first little line of that blurb that makes me want to keep reading on. On the 10th of March, we have Child of the Dragon. This is by Ashley N.Y. Sheasley, and this is another beautiful cover as well. There's a lot of colour going on in this one with the reds, the blues, and the purples, and that light through the middle, and a big old dragon at the top. And this says, our only hope is the hope. Our only hope is the hope we forge ourselves. This is cute. Alright, so it says fantasy, young adult, LGBTQ, queer, and fiction. Nice. Also on the 10th of March, we have Nothing Out There. This is by May Harcourt, and it is the Ellington. I can speak. The suburb that I live in sounds very similar to this, so my brain went to say that. This is the Ellington Project, book number 1. It says, Poise, Obedience, and Purpose. Within the walls of a secluded facility that reforms troubled girls into obedient daughters, there are only 2 options, graduate or disappear. Ooh, that's sinister. In there, but another beautiful cover that we have on the 10th of March. Also on the 10th, we had To Ride the Wind. This is by Denver C. Binion, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I apologize if I did not. This is a Wyvern Rider epic fantasy, and this is quite like, it's a simplistic cover, but it's quite eye-popping as well. I like that there's another, I think they're a couple, and they have like a dragon on the cover, but there's like a scene in the dragon. This reminds me a lot of that. So it looks like we've got a person inside the dragon here, which is kind of cool. For centuries, the Daggledan. It wouldn't be one of these videos if I wasn't fucking up words left, right, and center. Empire has ruled nearly all of Perovia through a single unassailable force, the Dragon Riders of Helgoth. Where dragons reign, resistance burns. Okay, interested. On the 13th of March, we have The Witch of Hexen Holler by B.L. Brown, and this is The Witches of Crow, book number 3. Magic Kept Them Apart. This looks like it is paranormal romance and sapphic romance for those inclined to those type of books. We also had Danse Macabre. This is a dark fantasy short story collection by one of my favorite indie authors, Mark Holloway, and it's a crime. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm clicking buy now as soon as this video has ended. I'm going to keep that tab open. On the 16th of March, we had Gutcutter, Rise of the Wizard King by J.P. Fortin. And this, I get excited about, like, dogs and wolves on covers. I'm very excited about a giant cat on this cover. Like a panther, cheetah looking thing. What's going on there? I must know. This is epic fantasy, sword and sorcery, and dark fantasy. 2 hunters, 1 wizard, only one gets the kill. This is another one of those lines where it's just, they're really short, sharp sentences that like grab attention, and like my attention is definitely going, hang on a minute, I need to read the rest of this blurb, but it is very long. It looks like this, very cool cover. I am going to be looking more into that one after this video. Then on the 19th of March, we have Raven of the Scorned. This is by K. Jamila and is book 2 of Remnants of Rage. I can speak. Book 2 of the Remnants of Rage, and it says A Witch Burned by Prophecy. Another beautiful cover that we have here. On the 20th of March, we have All the Stars Above by Hallie Morgan. This is book 1 of Blood of Celeste, and it's got a really nice cover too. I like the starry background that we have here. Warring Kingdoms, Deadly Secrets, Unclaimed Power. It looks like this. I like the border around it, but like I'm very intrigued by like the ball that's in this person's hand down the bottom. So yeah, very interested in what's going on there. On the 23rd of March, we have Demon Marked by Kat Kinney. This is Everwood Falls book number 4, and it is paranormal romance and cozy fantasy. And this person on the cover looks like they are judging me quite heavily, but I do like the purple. That's very fun. On the 26th of March, have I been saying March or April? It's March. We're still in March. We're still doing books in March. We have Common Bonds number 2 by Claudie Arsenault. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is horror, fantasy, and sci-fi. Common Bonds returns in the 2nd volume of speculative short stories and poetry featuring aromantic characters. Oh, that's cool. Also on the 26th, we have Scars Beneath a Serpent's Scales, a romantic fantasy novel, the Fatesworn Saga book number 1 by Nicole Platana. Platana? I'm sorry for the pronunciation. What is inevitable? That's a really good question. What is inevitable? Emmeline Deliost has always talked to the stars. As a member of a fortune-telling warrior clan, her exceptional magic allows her to read the fates, earning her a prestigious academy job. But it has also cost her everyone she loves. Interesting. On the 27th of March, we have probably up there for one of my favorite covers. I love the color here. This is Songs of Monsters by Noah Nyman, and it says Cain once died in a noose. Now he has a god in his head and a city to save. Yes, gods in heads. I friggin' love it. I'm just gonna save that one because already very much enjoy cover that first line. Here for it. On the 30th of March, are we up to the 30th of March? I think we are. We have My Brother's Keeper. This is The Cycle of Ash, book number 1 by Ben Shankman. This is urban fantasy. Really cool eye-catching cover with that one as well. Magic is real, demons walk the earth, and Max's brother is dead. Oh, sorry for Max's brother. On the 30th, I think, as well, we had Dance of Copsewood by K.V. Meadows, and this says, Born for the Stage, Lured by the Forest. Oh, interesting. That's an interesting tagline as well. And it looks like this. And then to finish us off for the month of March, we have got The Champion of the Fallen. This is Rivenworld book number 2 by M.L. Spencer, the follow-up to Dragon Mage, which a lot of people have said is a fantastic book. Fantastic book. I just turned New Zealand-ish. I should be reading it. I have it. I just haven't read it yet. This says, Aram and Marcus's story continues as they fight enemies both above and below. And it looks like this. And we also have Ill is the Fate by Chance Dillon for the end of March. This one released on March the 31st. And this is the Mercy Saga, book number 2. Fate can be an ill thing. Interesting. I've got this one as well, but I probably do need to read the first one again if I'm going to continue on with the series, and I will be buying a physical copy of this because it is gorgeous. Those were the books for March. Let's jump into April. Alright, starting off strong on April 1st, we have The Swamp by Palmer Pickering. This is the Tales of Temerity book number 2, and I've had the pleasure of reading this one, and it is fantastic. This is such a fun series. It says, a seer, a potion maker, a fighter, and a bard walk into a tavern. If you're not reading the series and you like lit RPGs, this is such a fun series, and I cannot recommend it more. And I say that completely biasedly, I can speak, as someone who does the early reads for these. They're a lot of fun at early stage, and I can't wait to get this one on my shelf. We also have Cry Havoc by Richard C. White. This is the Furies book number 1, and it's a superhero book. And this has got a really cool cover as well here. Black Venus, the cat, Miss Espionage, a legendary fighter pilot, a Hollywood star turned crime smasher, and the daughter of Matahari renowned adventurers, still fighting the good fight in post-World War II America. That sounds intriguing. Now, I'm not one for superheroes personally, but unless your name is Rohan from the Hybrid Helix series, but this sounds like it could be a bit of fun if that is up your alley. Also on April 1st, we had The Last Gift Night by Dylan Madeley. This is new adult fantasy and courtly intrigue. It says, 2 lives, the legacy of grand stories are at the forefront of this tale, and I quite like this art style that we have on the cover here. On April 2nd, we have Event Horizon. This is by Dan F. Bispo, and this is, it looks like, First Light, book number 1, and in the science fiction realm. It says, the year is 2568. Humanity has spread itself thin and wide across the stars. It has been less than half a century since the paradigm shift, when the final large-scale government collapsed, leaving thousands of worlds to their own devices. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that, whether that would be good or bad. On April 2nd, we have Echoes of the Past by J.B.J., and this says, 2 heirs, 6 shattered kingdoms, 5 forms of magic, and 1 war built on the lies that made them, which is a hell of a tagline to get me intrigued. We've got a very dark cover here with a lot of fire happening in the back end, which again is quite intriguing to sort of draw me in to want to read more of this blurb. So if anyone has heard about this one, like, I'm genuinely interested. How'd you find it? Did you like it? Because there's some quotes on here about people who have like, oh, Esme Roslin is one of the quotes. Esme, tell me if I should read this one. I trust your judgment. On the 5th of April, we have the Titan Revenant. This is Ranger of the Titan Wilds, book number 5, and I believe the conclusion to the series. I backed the Kickstarter so I can have all the books that match, which will be on my shelf at some point in the near future. This says, captured, shackled, but never broken. I don't want to read any more than that because I do want to go in and read this series. On the 5th of April, we have Heretic by Noah Isaacs, and this is related to the Testament of the Broken Gods series. It looks like it is a prelude to the actual series there. And another beautiful cover here. A lord, a lady, a priest, or even a bishop, at times a queen. These are the people Vare has killed, and next an emperor. Oh, excellent setup there. On April 7th, we have Hail the Rising Tides, and this cover is so gorgeous with the colors and the light scheme, like the whites and the blues and the waves, like it just all works. And like, I'm so intrigued. Prim and prideful lone possesses the moon goddess's spirit, and a harrowing fate. Overpower the wrathful sun god and sweep his murderous pyromancers into the sea. What a line! I also wish to sweep pyromancers into the sea. Wouldn't you? I think that sounds delightful. Also on April 7th, we have Silks and Stones. This is Sienna and Hokurin, book number 2 by Quinn Lawrence, and apologies if I mispronounce that. And this is cozy fantasy. Sinna and Hokurin return. Their heartwarming found family relationship meets a twisty, character-driven mystery, full of magical intrigue. Also on April 7th, we have Prologue of Queens. This is by Elizabeth G. Mark, and this is book 2 of the Epilogue of Kings, and another beautiful cover. I love art. I love artists, like, they're just fantastic. I'm eager to see how you'll conquer the world, whether in light or in ashes and flames. Yeah, also an excellent tagline there. Also on April 7th, we have Reaper's Madness, which I originally wrote as Reader's Madness, which may just be me as a person. Reaper's Madness, although this says the 3rd of April. It was in April, early. A post-apocalyptic adventure fantasy lit RPG book number 3. So it looks like the series name is System Orphanus. Don't be distracted, trust the quest, kill your target. Interesting. April 7 looks like it was a big day because we also had Shadows of Kelig. This is by Brady Hunsaker. Says Askvild, Avskild, has fallen back to rejoin the rest of the Manasvard. The shield protecting them is gone, leaving them exposed to threats beyond anything they've imagined. Jeff Brown is, like, just getting better and better as an artist. This cover is insane. On April 9th, we have A Fuckery of Songs and Shadows by A.J. Braun, winner of title on this list. It says, in another epically absurd adventure, the notorious dragon rider and dragon bounty hunter duo, Rima and Benny, have disguised themselves as security personnel to get into the most popular music festivals of the Courtchella. I mean, it sounds fun. The cover's very intriguing and fun as well, with the microphone on there, so that could be a bit of a good time. Also on April 9th, we have Bear My Heart by Karen Lakebo. I apologise for the pronunciation. This is fantasy romance in the Sapphic sphere. I never did anything to Sarian's heart. If anything, she did something to mine. I was simply existing. We have all been there, girl. But this one is cozy, and I have just read my first of this author in Together as a Distant Star, and it has definitely intrigued me to pick up more from the author for that one. On the 10th of April, we had Threadstealer. This is Pathlighter Trilogy, book number 2 by Rob Lee, and that is a giant crocodile man on the cover. Say no more, sign me up. I don't need to know anything else about this trilogy. And Rob's been on my list for a little while to get into, and I'm looking forward to picking up this series when I get to it. This is the follow-up to Pathlighter. James has accepted his destiny as the Pathlighter, pledging to serve the Emperor and forge a way forward as a better example than the gods. On April 15th, we have Drudge by Jan Miklazowicz. I apologise for that pronunciation. This is horror. This is the Heartmouth Horrors book number 3. Jake Brown is what you might call a likely lad, fresh-faced, intelligent, and game for a laugh, if rather too agreeable. Oh, I don't like Jake's chances. If this is a horror, and that's the first line, sorry, Jake. Apparently there's like standalone novellas as well. Also on the 15th of April, we had Outskirts of Oblivion by A.Q. Adams. This is a cyberpunk, dystopian, post-apocalyptic superhero sci-fi, which sounds like a lot, but also sounds like it could be a lot of fun. Under the domination of the Keep, the world remains severed into pieces, each controlled by a tyrant. Right, all good space operas. We've got some tyrants, we've got multiple worlds or planets happening. It sounds like that could be fun as well. Then we have This author, I swear, every time, Chad Rederath, I have to read them at some point because, like, every cover is fantastic. They all sound really funny. I will read one, hopefully before the end of this year. Father of the Sexiest Lobster by Chad Rederath is coming out on April 16th, or has come out on April 16th. This is also a lit RPG. Father is an ordinary lobster, gets the name, that only cares about raising his son right, and a father. The ocean is a dangerous place, but they survive and thrive together as a family. Right. On the 18th of April, we have Electric City Switches by M.D. Presley. This is urban fantasy. It says Sheenan's running home and January's after her. Cryptic. On the 18th of April, so again on the 18th of April, we've got Ripple by Forrest Wells. This is Gold, book number 1, and I'm really intrigued by this cover as well. This is sci fantasy and space opera. It says a wounded fox in search for a home. Hang on, I'll try that again. A wounded fox in search of home. The war pushes further, leaving deeper scars than ever. First comes an attack on the colony of Phoenix Perch, then it expands to fronts no one ever knew existed. Colour me intrigued. Then on the 21st of April, we have got War and Lies, Tales of Kelig, book number 1 by T.C. Havelock. This is dark fantasy. Is Atalon truly such a savage place? I don't know. Is Atalon truly such a savage place? Sapphic? I've said the word sapphic too many times in this video. Moving on. On April 21st, we have Talisman of Sin by Alyssa Lusung. This is dark fantasy and also LGBTQIA+ in the subgenres there. A Tithe of Blood, an Oath of Loyalty. Lady Shadow's plans are slowly coming together. On the 22nd of April, we had Rise of Legends. This is the Acarian series book number 3, probably butcher that pronunciation, by Erica Evren. It says, legends aren't made, they are forged through suffering. Under the cruel reign of the Nevo, chaos runs rampant in the Dexorta's galaxy. At the heart of it, Catrix struggles to embrace the destiny he's bound to. Sounds like very space opera-y. On April 26th, we had the Rill Lord by L.L. Stevens, and I believe this is the final book in the Temporary Revelations, and this is book number 6. This is political fantasy and science fantasy, and I have it on good authority. This is ridiculously underrated, and I should be picking it up very, very quickly. It's not on my radar this year, but it's definitely on my radar, and it has... You can buy it directly from the author's website, which is always fun. The Wall has been destroyed and magically restored by Darillion Sordenian. Now that's a fantasy name if ever I've heard one. On the 28th of April, we have Crownfall by Michael Vadney. This is epic dark fantasy, and it's got a really cool cover too. Nearly a decade under the Empire's grip has left Berunt a troubled land. Sounds good. Now we have my cover pick of the entire lot, and there was a lot of books in this list, and that is By Blood, Shadow and Fire by Oren Steele. This is so, just gripping. I want to know what's happening in here. I believe this is actually a romantic fantasy, and it says, marked by gods, hunted by fate, bound to a warrior she shouldn't want. Bound to a warrior she shouldn't want. That tracks for the romantic fantasy sphere, but apparently is quite dark as well. But the cover, just chef kiss, excellent. We then have Exile on the 29th of April, and this is by C.J. Hawthorne, and is book 2 of the New Covenant trilogy. She saved a world but lost herself. That is a hard bargain, to save a world but lose who you are in the process. Hopefully she gets some closure in book 2. And last but definitely not least for this list today is entry by my friend Abel Montero, whose book 2 has come out on the 29th of April. This is the Sunrise Dagger, and I need to read book 2 as soon as possible. I really enjoyed book 1. This is epic fantasy. It says, the Empire is splintering and the gods' dominion grows weaker with every passing day. Out of the chaos, old loyalties fracture, and new dangers emerge, and the line between faith and betrayal blurs beyond recognition. Those were a lot of books that came out in the months of March and April. Again, I apologise for not getting these out monthly, and we should be back to normal form in May, although I am away for all of June, so very likely June and July are going to be together as well. What are you picking up from this list? Because there are some fantastic sounding, some fantastic looking books in here. I want to know what you've picked up. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.